Okay, welcome to video 3. So, as you saw in the previous video, we were able to get our character in. Oh, I forgot to mention how to fix the feet. We'll do that next. And we're able to get our character running around and doing what we want it to do. So go ahead and hit escape. The issue with the feet coming off the ground is relatively easy to fix. If we go to our third-person character, and we're going to go back to our viewport, we're going to choose this Mesh Inherited. You'll currently see that, let's see if I can zoom in here a little bit about this. This is really just where our character's feet are located. And you'll see that the bottom of the capsule is a little lower than our character's feet. For me, in this case, I was able to just change the transform from -97 to -100. That nudged him down just a little bit. Compile, save. And then I can test that out and see, is that feeling a little bit better? And that feels way closer to his feet being flat on the ground. So that's how I fix that. There's a couple other options on how to fix that, but I think this works pretty well in this case. Okay, so the next thing we're going to have to do is add some additional nodes into the event graph of our main character blueprint. So I believe that is in here. Yeah. So remember we saw this earlier. This is where all of the instructions on movement and all of that is. So we just need to make a new instruction in here on what to do when we click a mouse button. Okay. So I'm going to right click in here, and I'm just going to start typing left, and you'll see that we have left mouse button. So this is just a set of instructions. This is not, I want to point out, this is not going to result in a perfect playable character. We'll talk about that just a little bit more in a second, but this is sort of a simple way of getting this to trigger, not probably like you could punch in a full playable game. You could punch while you're in the air, maybe you could punch while you're running, you'd punch while you're swimming, and this is actually just going to let us punch while we're in the idle pose, but that's okay. That's enough for us right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and hit or type play, and so we're looking for play animation mesh. There we go. And so it created this little mesh node as well. Because this is for the event graph for our third-person character. So it'll allow us to select the assets that we want this to play, and what we're wanting to play is the punch. Okay, so again, this is sort of like a little simple programming, right? What we're going to say is whenever we have the left mouse button pressed, it's going to play the animation. So if I play that, and do that, hit compile and save, it's going to work in a way. So if I hit play, right, and I'm going to hit the left mouse button, it's going to play it. Oh, that's awesome. Our character's punching, right? Now, when I start running around, it's not working the way I should want it to, right? Because it played that animation and then stopped. And what happened is this is kind of an event that is triggering outside of that state machine we created earlier. So really what we want is after the animation plays, we want it to play the full length of the animation, and then we want it to just set our animation back to the state machine. So to do that, I want to right click, and I'm going to say set animation mode mesh. And the animation mode that we're going to set is the back to the animation blueprint, right? The problem with that is if I just plug this straight in, hit compile and save, what's going to happen is whenever I click, you're going to see it like he twitches every time I click. That's because what's happening is it's trying to play this animation, but as soon as it starts trying, it just sets the mode back to the blueprint. So what I actually need here is a delay. So I'm just going to write delay. Okay, and so what that's going to do is it's going to delay for whatever duration we want, before it sets our animation mode. Well, the length of time we need it to delay is the length of the punch animation. So I'm going to hit compile and save. minimize this, and we're going to go look at our punch animation. So if I just mouse over male punch, you'll see like 3/4 of the way down here, I can't really point at it with my mouse, you'll see sequence length, and it's 0.566667. So I'll just sort of jot that down, 0.566667. And what I'm going to do is go back to my blueprint, and in this delay, I'm going to do 0.566667. So what's going to happen is now, after we play their animation, or as soon as this animation is triggered, it's going to hold off for that amount of time before setting our animation mode back to the blueprint. Okay, so compile, save, and what you'll see now is that my character will punch, and then I'm able to run around. Now, as I said earlier, my character can jump, my character can run, but I can't punch in the middle of doing that, because really what we're doing is we're just playing that animation whenever I click. And what would happen is if I punch while we're doing that, you'll see he slides around and punches. This would, to make this work, would require, you see also with jump, I can sort of take over and punch midair, right? But he goes back to his feet kind of looking like they're stuck to the ground. So what is actually happening there is that animation is just taking over from all of the idle and all of the jump animations, all the run animations, and it's just playing that animation. If we wanted it to blend, if we wanted to be able to punch while we were running, we would either need a punching while running animation, and that probably wouldn't even be the best way of doing it. More than likely, the best way of doing it would be for our, if we go into our character here, you'll see we have our character's skeleton, right? And so I could choose all of the joints above his spine, right? So we could like have just the punch animation play on all of the joints that are above his spine. So his legs would still be running, but his upper body would still punch, right? That's a little bit more complicated to do, and so we're not going to get into that in this animation. It would definitely be a lesson for a separate animation, but know that that is possible. It's just not what we are wanting to do for this specific project. So this is a good stopping point. What we're going to try to go into next is actually making this punch impact the environment. So we're going to make an object and see what happens when we see if we can make our character punch that object and actually see it respond. So I'll see you in the next video.